All right, we back, baby. Row 26,
Hey,
another episode here. We're on to week 7 of the NFL season. Sixers, Hots, Heads, Dreamers. Thanks for tuning in. We know it's a late one on the East Coast for you guys out there. Here out west, it's only 8:30. We're just getting our evening started here. But Hots, good to see you, bro. I appreciate you locking in for the podcast, even though your Mets didn't come to play tonight, unfortunately. But that's why there's a series and there's always tomorrow. And that's what you guys did by winning that game, too. You opened up the series, so I'll let you take the floor, bro. But good to see you, bro. And Row 26ers, we here another one. John, talk to you. Well, keep going.
Yeah, welcome back, boys. Thank you for tuning in, logging in, listening. Obviously, the Mets today. I mean, it's one of those games where any athlete will tell you, whether you played in Little League or professionally, it's kind of easier to move on from a blowout loss than it is a last-minute close game. This game, it was tough in the sense of that the Mets just didn't hit, and that happens in playoff baseball. They drove some balls to the warning track. They hit some balls hard right at people. It kind of just goes that way sometimes.
Yep.
My one take that I had that I was kind of holding in reserve because of a sense of I didn't want to put this in the air, but I did think that Severino I would have rather started Quintana tonight. And it's not that Severino pitched poorly, but just having the left-handed arm against the Ohtani, Freeman, Muncy lineup, and he's had plenty of rest. And if you compare their playoff numbers, just not this season, but all time, Quintana has been a really great pitcher in big games.
Quintana had a big start last series, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, in this playoffs, he's 11 and change, 0 or 1 earned run.
Yeah.
Obviously the game against the Brewers, everyone remembers the Pete Alonso home run to come back, but Quintana gave us 6 scoreless in that elimination game against a good Brewers lineup. So, that's my one take. I mean, I think I told my one friend at work, and I have screenshots in my phone of their numbers and the last time they pitched. He had plenty of rest since his last game. I just think that in this kind of moment, you kind of got to go with who's hot right now. And Severino was great for us during the season, but Quintana has had back-to-back good starts in the playoffs. And again, I really think having a lefty against this lineup is a much better advantage. And that being said, going into Quintana tomorrow, I think they have to be ready to go to Peterson quick, with another left-hander and just make that move and keep this line moving. But overall, back to tonight's game, my second take I'll have is I feel like everyone's sucking off Walker Buehler for going 4 innings, throwing 100 pitches, and
working hard. He was working hard in those 4 innings. I'll say that he was averaging 25 pitches an inning. No innings seemed to be as clean as the later half of those innings when those relievers came in. It seemed like the Mets had basically said, "All right, we'll come back tomorrow and reset." At that point after the 7th inning, those at bats were just not looking the same as the first 6 innings. But I agree, I'm a big Walker Buehler guy. Obviously, I'm documented on this podcast, I believe, being a Walker Buehler stan a little bit for sure. But I agree, a little bit of too much of a suck off for him. He did his job. Honestly, I was looking at Sevy's line just now too. 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks. The 4 walks got to go. That's trouble when you play a team like the Dodgers.
Well, this is what I'm saying with the Buehler. He went. I think Sevy went 4 2/3, and Buehler went 4 innings. He had no earned runs. Severino had no earned runs. Also, he had 2 unearned runs, but he made the error as a pitcher. And Alvarez deserves some blame for trying to go to second when they could have had an easy out at first and just kind of kept it moving. It was only the second inning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't have to fucking go for the runner at second in the second inning on basically a bunt.
It reminded me a little bit of the Jazz play getting picked off with 0 outs. He's at second, and it's just he's extending a lead, and we have a great bat up. I think Glaber was up at the time, and ended up being, or Rizzo was up. Rizzo was up. He ends up hitting a double. We end up scoring that run. Volpe ends up scoring. That could have been Jazz too. That shit comes back to haunt you in the playoffs usually. That type of blunder, and it's what are you doing? It's one of those thoughts. It's it's just a mental fart almost. It feels like in a sense.
Well, it's crazy because the Mets are great at coming back, but the Dodgers are great at holding leads. So we can't kind of play this we could get behind and come back later, Yes, we can, Like I'm not saying we can't do that, but we can't be reliant on it like maybe we were against the Phillies and the Brewers, where this Dodgers team, not only do they lock down pitching wise, they also have a lineup that could extend leads. They're not going to quit. Every time it comes up where it's Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and they haven't even been particularly good this series. As a Mets fan, you're holding your breath. And then you get later in the lineup and you're like, oh, wait, there's still Muncy and Edman. And obviously Edman wasn't great against the Padres, but he's been excellent, as has Muncy in this series.
And Kike is now another.
Yeah, I mean, that one is almost unfortunate, and that really was obviously a huge moment in the game. But Garrett was pitching well, and he just hung one splitter, and Kike took advantage. It was just like one awful pitch right after
Kike, though, got to give him some love. Like, this guy, I think, is tied now with Babe Ruth all time for home runs in the postseason, like 15 home runs or whatever the fuck his stat. Like, Cruz sent me the stat on, like, yesterday or a couple days ago. Like, it's just ridiculous. And this guy bats 9th for them? What the fuck? Like, that's crazy talk.
This will let me let off another take of that every single series now. This guy has this many home runs, is third all time. And even Kike, he's third all time in Dodgers home runs. Behind who? Corey Seager and Justin Turner. All these guys are going to be turn of the century guys. Fucking Babe Ruth, when he played, they went straight to the fucking World Series. Whoever won the National League and the American League in the regular season went to the World Series. So he's obviously not going to have as many playoff home runs with only one series versus these other guys.
These series used to be 7 games, like until they cut it down. Like it used to be even a longer playoffs, I'm pretty sure.
Well, even now there's even more playoff games because of the extra wild card round. The Kyle Schwarber is among the Phillies' all-time playoff home run leaders, and Bryce Harper, who just got there, both of them. Like all these guys are, their playoff home run. It's all the new era. You can't compare Babe Ruth only playing the World Series to Kike Hernandez playing.
It's such a headline versus
20
a stat.
games.
Just like a headline versus a stat. It's just like.
Yeah. I saw something recently the other day. It was like Rick Barry, the only player to lead, a single season ABA, NBA, and NCAA scoring in a season. And it's like, the ABA was only around for fucking so long. It's like a qualifier. It's a great. If you just said he's one of 5 players to lead the NCAA and the NBA in single season scoring, it's almost like more authentic than trying to throw in the qualifier of the ABA. Like half of the people who even played in that era didn't play in the ABA. Like
electricians and shit. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but the NBA and the ABA existed simultaneously.
Separately and simultaneously.
So there's some great players from that same era who still didn't even play in the ABA. So it's just like a very qualifying stat. But that all this to say that every single home run leader in the playoffs is all going to be modern era, and not just modern era like McGuire and Sosa. But
it'll be even more modern ever you go, 2010 and beyond, and then 2020.
Exactly.
I agree.
100%. And that obviously more playoff games and the coinciding of the rise of the home run sabermetric of nobody cares about batting average anymore, blah, 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 blah. But, back to the game real quick. I mean, it was a blowout, but it also was like a few very close moments where, like you said, Walker Buehler comes out. It's still a close game, and Lindor goes to the wall, and then Vientos goes to the wall back to back. Windy, fall, cold night. It's just like one of those things. And Kike punched one out. To be fair, I'm not trying to say it was impossible to hit a home run tonight, but it was. Pete drove onto the wall. Like I said, we hit a lot of hard ball. Baseball sometimes it's like poker. You could play your cards right and get the chips in good and lose.
And hit right to the wall, so to speak, in poker. Right to the wall and then get rivered every time. And it doesn't really matter how well
there was another hard hit ball to Max Muncy, who was just playing in the perfect spot in the modern shift where you can't, just one of those where you got to kind of just move on to the next day. And you got to kind of give credit to guys like Miguel just staying in there knowing he just had to get shelled. Just go out there. Don't try to do too much. Just make sure you eat up the rest of this game. We can't use any more arms. Like, sometimes that's like what if they win the next game because they have a fresh Peterson, a fresh Stanek, a fresh Diaz.
The later half of those guys that got that game got you out of the stadium basically and got those last 3 innings done with when it was already 7-0. It's crucial because if they start compounding, you feel like you have to bring in more guys to stop the compounding, and like it becomes a never-ending shit show.
It does become at a point where it's like you don't want all these guys to like start seeing the ball better and better and better. But at the same point, we needed Miguel to close that game out. And like I said, save Stanek, save Diaz, save Peterson. Where going into the next game, if we do win and we use those guys, I said it after game 1, it's not aggregate. 9-0 and 1-0 is the same thing.
Correct.
So 8-0 tonight. If it was 8-0 or 8-7, it doesn't matter. It's one game. Move on to tomorrow.
I do like your take though about the effect on, like, as a team that's coming in as a wild card team, and like you're thinking about like your mentality around each game. Like I feel like if they had like a heartbreaker and it was one of their style games, which is the late inning type of game, and someone beat them at their own game in a sense, not literally, but like they've been the late inning team mostly through these playoffs, I would say.
Yeah.
So if they got beat by the Dodgers in that fashion, that like you said, I think that would have stung a lot more because they seem to understand the late innings and the mental approach to that, and just being a clutch team, and that juju getting infested into the team. But like, I do think what you said is correct, that when it's a blowout, it's similar to game 1. To be honest, like it's a blowout, you kind of just flush it. It is what it is. They had our number tonight. They had the juice with Walker Buehler, who's one of their old school pitchers who's been on the team for a while now. Probably
and again.
Back,
Walker Buehler wasn't a dominant outing at all.
It wasn't a dominant outing, but like it was just like almost like the bats were feeling more invigorated because they saw like a guy that came back from all these injuries and he's back to start for them in the playoffs. Maybe they got their bats going, but maybe his pitching wasn't there. But I think him being there and starting was like a good feel for them in a sense, versus like a Yamamoto who's just like a star player, quote unquote, that's been brought in for a lot of money, versus a guy that's been on the Dodgers, I feel like has been part of this team.
My thing is he wasn't bad by any stretch. Like he was solid. He got 4 innings. Like he didn't even qualify for a win tonight. You know what I mean? Like let's not oversell it as he's like some sort of hero.
No.
Like he went in there, he labored. His job. He labored through 4 innings, left his pen up for 5 innings, and his bats picked him up to where the Mets really kind of folded and just kind of gave them the game and moved on a game early.
Home run was the door closed, like the 3-0.
The Ohtani home run.
The Ohtani.
Was really,
yeah.
When it went to 7-0, that was like okay, and it was the 7th inning, and it was maybe the 8th. No, I believe it was the 7th. I could be mistaken, but it was either 7th or 8th, and that was just like kind of all right. 7-0 is insurmountable. They're bringing in. They're bringing in Treinen, he hit it over the foul pole. Like, I didn't know if it was fair or foul because it was too high. Like, are you kidding me? But it obviously was fair, like, watching the replay. But watching it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's foul or fair.
Everyone stopped. It almost looked like the only person that kind of realized it was fair was Ohtani when he pointed back at his dugout for maybe someone to throw him the tip or whatever.
I think he has the best angle of anyone in the world.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, he's the one he looked back at his dugout and pointed over there to credit, and, like, he was the only one that seen. Everyone else was kind of like, is this gone? But, yeah, he's a freak. Obviously, we know about Ohtani being all generational talent.
But it's I guess, like, it's the easy take right now. I'm sure it's regurgitated everywhere, but if with him hitting literally almost fucking 600 or 700 with people on base and almost over with nobody on base, why is he leading off? Like,
that's true. 16 for 19 with runners in scoring position, I think is the stat now. I think it was 15 for 18 before coming into that at bat.
And I think even with like runners on base, like in the playoffs or whatever, like even on first, like anyone on base, he's like probably like 12 of 20.
That is interesting. So he leads off for them because of the steals and he can run, but obviously he's dynamite when the guys are on. So I don't understand.
And you just get as many at bats as you can with them up, and that's really what it comes down to. You got to figure that it's not enough of a sample size to be like this is what it is. This is an anomaly. Sure.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, everything gets magnified. They mentioned it on the broadcast tonight.
The guy that gets the 4 or 5 at bats who leads off versus the guy that gets the 3 or 4 at bats who's batting somewhere else fourth. whatever it
Yeah,
might be.
even like you were saying, like the other day with like Jazz versus Oswaldo, because you're a fan. I had the same thing with like Starling Marte the other day. Like, let's put in Bader or something. He was 1 for 15, and then game 2 he goes 3 for 4. You know what I mean? And it's like now from 1 from 15, he's now 4 of 19 or whatever, which isn't so bad, and 3 or 4. You know, like we're really talking about subbing these guys out when it's like there's no reason to. It's just such a short sample size. Like.
And every time I feel like you think about subbing out your favorite, like that one of your players on your favorite team, like I think about subbing out Jazz. He comes back the next inning, he makes 2 great plays in the field. It's like, thank God you're playing the field right now. Like you're playing exceptional in the field right now, Jazz. Like he had that base running blunder. Literally the foul. I was killing him, obviously. Like that was so fucking dumb, and we would have got 2 runs that inning. Like, and Rizzo was about to crank one. Rizzo was locked in that whole game. Like. So then Jazz comes out the next inning and makes 2 great plays in the field. One was on a hard shift where he's basically alone on the left side there, where Volpe's playing up the middle there. So he's like alone on that whole side. He makes the play to his right, like backhand, quick whip throw, and then he made another play as well. So, and then I'm back to loving him again.
Yeah, but again, we're just fans. Like, obviously, Jazz Chisholm is so much better than Oswaldo Cabrera. Like, he's like, Jazz Chisholm is like a top 30 major league player in general, and fucking Starling Marte is so much better than Harrison Bader. You know what I mean? But it's just like, we're like, they're struggling.
Just that angsty feeling, like Oswaldo gives the team juice. Like maybe it could just be good for this one at bat, this one moment, versus like the idea that they're better players overall. It's like, Jazz hasn't hit the fucking ball at all. Like he hasn't got a hit, and then he comes up like in the 7th inning where he cranks a double, and he's back to hitting again, I guess. So it's like, that's that back and forth is, with those players, and just thinking about first, and then Rizzo starting off of an injury. Everyone's like, is Rizzo actually good? He's starting, and then he gets 2 hits. He's fucking dynamo, like making plays.
But it is like a balance as like a management, especially in the playoffs, where it's like you maybe do have to make moves. Like maybe these ones are dramatic that we're talking about, but like I said tonight, like I think Quintana would have been a better play. Like, and Severino again wasn't bad, didn't cost us a game, kept us in it for sure. But I just think Quintana could have had like a lockdown 5 or 6 inning start against this Dodgers lineup that I don't think Severino really had in him. And I think Severino is lucky to have gotten, especially after his own fielding errors, Alvarez obviously making the boneheaded play. It required a Tyrone Taylor. I mean, the catch probability on that must have been less than 1%. I mean, that was an unbelievable play in center field. And again, Tommy Edman at the plate. That's the only time he got out tonight, I think. Was that ridiculous drive that after Edman's faking bunting twice. So, I mean, Severino, like I said, I don't want to bash him too hard. It honestly he didn't cost us a game, but I do think Quintana would have been the play there. But we'll see tomorrow. Maybe Quintana gets fucking shelled tomorrow, and then I'm look like.
Or maybe this is why they didn't start Quintana, because if he did get shelled, you have Sevy in a game that's like your season's on the line essentially. And maybe you want Quintana in that game versus Sevy. So I'm sure coach is thinking, because your manager's been on point all year with like just pushing the right buttons and stuff like that. So just thinking about it from that perspective. But yeah, I don't think your take is wrong. I think Quintana may be better for the moment, but honestly, the way the bats were swinging tonight, you might have wasted them. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. Like what you said makes a lot of sense too. Like there's almost like a lower leverage start.
Right.
Win or lose. Yeah, even if we win this game and we're up 2-1, then we try to get to 3-1. Either way, like I'd rather have, I guess,
the clutch game is Quintana putting the series on ice, or the game where he needs to get the game back. And as well, the other thing is if they're down 0-2, maybe he does start game 3 versus Sevy. Like
so even so even in the Philly series, they did the Senga opener, and then they went game 2 to Severino.
Right.
And now this one they went game 1 and they went game 2 to Manaya. Who kind of makes sense.
Who fucking shoved?
Yeah, he's the sure ace of the squad right now. Yeah. So it does kind of make sense because he did change it somewhat. He didn't just leave it exactly how it was. So it does kind of make sense that maybe your line of thinking of where I could have Quintana go 1-1.
Right.
Or I could have Quintana go either down 1-2 or up 2-1. It's probably a better spot, which makes sense.
Giving Sevy the chance to be in those leverage situations. His arm's not as trustworthy.
And I don't think they announced Sevy before the Mets won the second game, because maybe if it was 2-0, maybe they do go Quintana.
So then the takes, it might be really sticking then. Yeah.
No, okay. I think you make a lot of sense there, because it wasn't announced until like at least on MLB, like on the app, like they didn't have him up as the starter yet because I was like, maybe they'll go Quintana. So we'll see how it goes. But, the Mets are
big game to get Mar gets a run back out on the field 0-0 first inning. Who gives a shit? 7-0, 9-0, 12-0. Flush it down the toilet. It's 2-1. You guys are in the NLCS.
Must win.
Appreciate the moment, and hopefully they get it done. That would be sick. Love to see.
And honestly, I believe in Quintana to have a good game. I really do. I think his stuff plays well against the Dodgers lineup. Like I said, that with all these lefty, I like when we pitched Manaea in Game 2. They switched the lineup up that it doesn't go Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. It went Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar. And then I think
get the righty in there. Yep.
Then maybe Freeman or Will Smith and then Freeman or something like that where we mixed
maybe it was
the three MVP,
Freeman, maybe.
The 3 MVPs don't go in a row when we threw a lefty at them. So I'd rather that. I like that lineup more. Teoscar is scary. I'm not trying to downplay Teoscar.
No, of course. He's like one of those guys you just talk out of the side of your mouth about, and the next game he comes back and hits 2 home runs.
That's why I'm watching myself.
We see Teoscar. Don't worry.
I'd rather not face the 3 MVPs, lefty, righty, lefty in a row.
Bro, I was worried about fucking Yuli Gurriel. I cannot imagine as a Yankee fan sitting there watching the Dodgers lineup, trying to watch Garrett Cole get through that lineup as a righty, and just watching Freeman, Betts, and Ohtani go against Garrett Cole. Fucking crying, bro. Garrett Cole with that live fastball is just going to get yoked by Ohtani. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest, because it just gives me nerves, and we're not even there yet, but that's what I think about. You talk about sweating through a lineup. I'm sweating about Yuli Gurriel and Jose Ramirez. These guys that are over the hill players, that are clutch players, hate the Yankees.
Jose Ramirez isn't over the hill.
Not over the hill, but seasoned veteran kinds of guys, not MVPs necessarily, not that level. Great players, but
Jose Ramirez is a top
3 MVPs in a row. That's a little different.
Yeah. No, the Dodgers lineup is good. I mean, this is historically for the AL. This is obviously an easy road, not even a road because they're not there yet. Let's be clear. They haven't won a road game in the ALCS. There's still a lot of, the Indians aren't going to die, but in terms of this American League playoffs, in terms of lineups and pitching, other than the Yankees, there really wasn't that scary presentation.
A lot of teams got taken care of for us that didn't get a chance to get hot. Detroit took care of Houston. Baltimore got taken care of as well. These are teams that the Yankees probably would have had problems with, to be honest. The Orioles and Houston. Houston from a mental capacity, just they have our mental number 3 times they've eliminated us in the ALCS. Don't have any interest in seeing that jersey. And then Baltimore had our number this year. So
Baltimore, I think, is the better example of the team that had a great they have Burns and they have a deep lineup.
Yep.
They can do some damage. I think the Astros just didn't kind of have it this year. They didn't have the pitching at the top.
It wasn't. Yeah,
it was inconsistent. Their pitching. They had I'm trying to remember the guy who I think it's Blanco threw the no hitter early, up and down. Guys like that. But they didn't have the Verlander,
back end starters when they had DeGrom as one of their back end starters and shit like that. Or not DeGrom, excuse me, Cole. When Cole was one of their back end starters.
Yeah, Garrett Cole was there for them for sure.
You know what I'm saying? When they won the World Series, when you have those types of guys that are just sitting in the wings as their 3rd and 4th starter.
Even guys like Keuchel when they were first starting to come up. They didn't have anybody really like that. And then I think that the Guardians, they have a good lineup. And Naylor, Ramirez, Kwan, they got a lineup that's deep, but pitching wise, I saw Tanner Bybee pitching in the second game, and it's not only is it a stuff thing, it's also just a experience thing. Also,
sure.
If Shane Bieber didn't get Tommy John, if he was still in there hanging around.
I would have loved that. Judge loves Shane Bieber. He kills Shane Bieber. But the rest of the lineup, I was looking at the stats, shit, they can't hit him. But Judge has great stats against Bieber.
Yeah, but then there's everyone had great stats against Sean Manaea, and then he fucking
been pitching. He's the
Oakland, Phillies and the Dodgers.
He's the Moneyball pitcher this year for you guys. You know what I mean? One of those types of guys. And it's
crazy when you our whole rotation.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about the Mets. Obviously, they're an underdog in a sense, obviously, compared to the Dodgers.
Huge underdog.
But, you think about it, they have the second highest payroll in baseball. Cohen is the richest owner in baseball. it's like they are an underdog from the stance of like talent on their team versus what the fucking Dodgers have. That's not even for debate. But like from the perspective of like building a team and like having the opportunity to build the strongest team from money standpoint and paying players and all that stuff. From a like looking at it on paper, you'd be like, they're not an underdog. They should be here. They are exactly where they're supposed to be, being a team that pays a shit ton of money on their luxury tax. But at the same time, some of the guys they're paying are not even on the Mets anymore because they got rid of guys like
exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Like
it's like still paying Scherzer and DeGrom and Verlander and shit like that. Yeah. It's not like, and it's like the guys who are performing aren't the high paid guys. You know what I mean? Like Vientos, you know, obviously Tyrone Taylor, like. You know,
Alonso's about to get a contract. He's in his last year. I think the only guy that's really getting that money, I would say, is Lindor.
Yeah, for sure. That's the only like
deal. Yeah, so
only like $300 million, you know, guy like on the team right now. Like, you know, so and if you compare that to the Dodgers, like, you know, they're definitely, and even like I said, payroll obviously comes into play. It's not like the Rays or the Marlins, like, but it still is like this Mets team. It's almost from more of a standpoint of where they were in May, early June.
Right.
And also coming into this season, like as a Mets fan, this is probably like the most I've been like, all right, this year is just like, we're going to just rebuild. We have young players who are on the roster who are good, who are going to get better. And we have guys in the minors who are going to develop. We're going to be like competing 2025, 2026. With like a
Alvarez
rebuild.
First season as starting catcher, also like things like that. Like,
Alvarez had a better year last year, but more so to the point of like, more so to the point of like, this year wasn't supposed to be anything. Like, you know, this was supposed to be a year where they just kind of developed their talent, and then all of a sudden, you're getting performances from Minaya, Quintana, Severino of like, all right, these guys are all going to be 15-win guys. You know, Edwin Diaz has a great bounce back year. You know, obviously Nimmo, Lindor, and Alonso are always going to be pretty good, even though Alonso, 34 home runs for him isn't a monster year, but still it's good. You know, it's contributions.
Yeah.
And then
it was more of a Giancarlo type of year for him this year, I would say, in a sense.
Vientos comes up, takes Beatty's job, has a great year. Obviously, you know, Jose Iglesias, who didn't make the opening day roster, wasn't on a team last year. Hits fucking 404 at home over the course of a full season, like crazy numbers. You know, Tyrone Taylor plays great. It just is a very weird team, like where it's like a very mismatch of like, are we starting a 1-year deal to JD Martinez, a Jesse Winker at the deadline? You know, it's this team
Marte
on paper.
As well, like still got Marte there.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's an interesting bunch for sure. I think that's a good way to put it. Definitely a little misfits in a sense, like a little misfit toys kind of in a way, like the way they...
For sure. I mean, JD Martinez wasn't on a roster. Jose Iglesias, like we talked about, didn't play. Like,
you know, he was just like a long
Minaya, Severino, Quintana, all three of them, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, my God. It's crazy.
So obviously, a crazy run, but it's not over yet. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're just happy to be here. Like, it feels like job not finished. Especially with Lindor, like leading the charge, all business. Even when he hit that grand slam against Phillies,
all business,
the kill shot, didn't fucking even throw a fist pump up there.
It looked like he just got told that his order was ready at McDonald's. He's walking up to the counter to get his order. Like he just hit the fucking grand slam. He didn't even bat an eye. He was just like, "Yup, that's what we do." Gets the home, hug his teammate. We're moving on. Like we're moving. Like it's just like.
All that being said, it's a must-win tomorrow. Like I said, we're not just happy to participate. We're here. Like, and I think Quintana's the guy to step up to the plate and, you know, hopefully prove me right and deliver a big performance. But
for sure,
we can start getting into the questions if you're ready, or if you want to throw anything.
Just want to give a little shout out to the Yanks a little bit more.
Go ahead, wax poetic.
But shouts to the Yanks for getting game 2 done. I felt like that was actually a must-win game for not letting the Indians feel like they have life in this series. I think that's the worst thing you can do with a team that's inferior to you, is that you give them any sense of life. Cole didn't have his best stuff. His outing before that was way better. But I think that the bullpen's been incredible. Shouts to Luke Weaver, besides his one blunder, to Jose Ramirez, which I felt something was going to happen with Jose all night. You could just tell he had that look on his face. He just missed Cole twice for homers, so made sense that he went deep late. But in general, shouts to Judge for hanging with it, and happy to see him finally get one and crack one over the... You talk about one that didn't look like it was going out. This fucking wind in New York City is just whipping, and you have no idea whether or not the ball is actually going to go out. That pitcher, you talk about inexperience, that pitcher was known, I forget his name, but he was known for throwing high strikes. That's not what you want to do to a 6'7" guy like Judge who can get to any pitch like that. You throw it up to him like he's going to raise his bat and go get it. So just a big mistake. Shouts to Gleyber Torres, big time. This guy is hitting machine right now, setting the tone. Every time it comes up, he's seeing more than 5 pitches. He's getting hits. Sometimes he's just jumping on the first pitch and he's getting a hit. Like, I love his style. It just feels like he's just grid locked in. Really happy to see that. Volpe's been exceptional as well. Would love to see Austin Wells and Jazz get a little bit more going with their bats. Some base runner blunders. I felt like just some sloppy shit. But in general, we were threatening with a blowout yesterday. Like, I feel like the Yankees have been on the verge of one of these Dodgers games that have won by like 7, 8 in some of these games that they've played. I feel like the Yankees have been teetering with that and they haven't gotten to that spot yet. But they're like right there. Sometimes it feels like they're going to blow the game open. And then they're like at first and second, no outs to start the game. And then Judge just hits into Judge just gets out and like they get like a sac fly and they get 1-0. And it's like, all right, great. Like, if it wasn't for that error that the second baseman dropped and Judge went to first, that inning, we probably don't even end up scoring. So it's just like, so it was good to see Judge break through. Long story short, it's good to see the bullpen doing well. Shouts to Tim Hill for 2 quality innings. Really hoping that the next game, we can lock it up. I don't know who they're going to start. I'm assuming they're probably going to go with Clark Schmidt, but maybe they'll go with Luis Hill or Stroman, or Nestor. But I don't really think that they're going to go away from Clark. I think they should pitch Clark. He's been good. And hopefully we can get the game tomorrow night. We play the same night as you guys. We're on, I think, after you guys tomorrow night. So it should be fun.
You guys are the early game tomorrow.
Oh, we are? Excellent.
Yeah.
Love that. Actually, that makes me super happy. So, because on the West
Coast, 2:00 your time.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Clark Schmidt is starting.
Perfect. All right, great. So that makes me comfortable. Might see then Oswaldo in the field then, but shouts to Rizzo coming off the injury with a broken hand, whatever, getting 2 hits for us, big hits for us. Giancarlo. The team seems to be gelling. Like, honestly, the Yankees, this is the last thing I'll say. They're like usually the team that has no gel, that has no kind of DNA to them. They have no kind of like actual personality. It just seems like a bunch of good players play on the team and everyone's kind of leaning off of Judge's personality. But it seems like this team has more to it, with Soto just like being in that bat every time he comes up, with his flair, with like Jazz's flair, with Judge's stoicness and being the leader and being the guy that's the steady Eddie, with Stanton doing the hey every time they do the home runs with him and his bat. Like, it feels like the team actually has gel and has some kind of nucleus to it and some personality to it, versus like last year and previous years. It feels like we were just trying to win with talent, and that's not going to get it done. So
yeah. No, I hear you. That makes a lot of sense. Like, the 2 notes I'd have on like everything you said was like, the one thing is like, oh, we're getting close to those blowout wins, but we're not quite getting there. It's like the inverse of what I said before. It's like, it doesn't matter if you lose by 9 runs or lose by 1 run. It doesn't matter if you win by 9 runs or win by 1 run. Right. You're 1 win closer to, moving on, getting to the next round.
We're 6 away. Yeah.
So you got to think about it like that. And also the Juan Soto point, I mean, that guy is different. That guy brings a different energy. That guy brings a different level of professionalism. I mean, we saw it with the Nationals when they won their World Series when he was, 20 years old, maybe 21.
Yeah, stupid.
Like, that's like, reminds me of like a young Miguel Cabrera on the Marlins. Like, that's what he's trending towards, maybe even surpassing.
Love that comp.
Is that level of greatness of like at a young age. Like, he still is a young man. I think 25, maybe 26.
Yankees and dress him up in a gold fucking outfit full of 500 million, 600 million, whatever he wants. Like, he looks great in pinstripes too. It's just perfect fit. It feels like it just fits.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like, obviously, a lot depends on whatever goes on. But Ohtani just got 700 million. You got to think he's getting 600, something like that. I mean, he is a special guy. He's still so young, and he just is different. He just brings a different aura, and I hate like everyone says, "Oh, they got aura."
No, it's true. It's now, the personality that we're talking about. This is the vibes. Yeah,
he literally has an aura about him of like you have to bring your very best to get me out, and if you make the tiniest of mistakes, I'm gonna do damage. And if you just try to avoid me, I'm not going to chase. Like, the best you can hope for is you do your very best to get me out. If you miss a little bit, I'm going to walk. If you miss bad, I'm going to do damage. And I mean, obviously it's still baseball. He gets out, 6 out of 10 times, even when he's hot. But it's just like when he's up there, even when he gets out, it's like,
it feels like the pitcher lost. It's like he's like looking at him.
Exactly.
It feels like the pitcher lost the at bat. Like, look, did I just get him out? Like, I feel like he's looking at me like I'm the one that like fucked up or something. Like, he's like, because someone's like the next at bat, I'm gonna get you.
Think about how like time can be manipulated in terms of like when you go through a stressful situation, it'll feel longer. If things are going good, it'll feel faster. Yeah. Like effortless. Like a judge at bat must feel like an inning to a pitcher. You know what I mean? Like one at bat against Soto, not Judge. Judge is great also, not to downplay Judge. But I'm just saying. But just like going up against Soto must feel like a full ass inning of stressful pitches where it's like you pitch against other guys who are easier to face. You're kind of like less effort, less foot. Like every single pitch against Soto, you have to feel like on pins and needles. I just think he's so good. And it's
rare that you see less than 5 pitches in his at-bats. Generally speaking, he's seeing 5, 6, 7 pitches. So when he sees you again also, it's like he's already had 2 at-bats against you with the amount of pitches he's already fucking seen. He's coming up in that second at-bat. You better be locked the fucking, because like you said, one little miss and it's the home run that he hit, a couple games ago. So he's unbelievable for sure. It's crazy.
The last thing I'll say is we've been doing this, we restarted this podcast a few months ago and like baseball's been going on the whole time and we still like love baseball, but we talk about a lot of other things, but like it's amazing how like when playoff baseball rolls around, like how much better playoff baseball is than regular season hang on
baseball. Every pitch, every out, everything is momentum. When Jazz got thrown out, I was talking to Christy, I was like, you don't understand. It's shit like that starts momentum, that starts bad innings, that starts a double play, and then it just becomes things are fucking fucked up in the playoffs with the way momentum works badly. It's one little thing. So
yeah, we could talk for like 40 minutes about baseball when it's the playoffs. And like, don't get me wrong, I still love baseball during the regular season. I watch fucking at least 80 Mets games a year, but in the playoffs, it's just different. And, I talked to our friend Casey about it. I'm like, I think it's the greatest elevation of regular season to playoffs. And he brought up hockey, which hockey playoffs are fucking crazy. They're 1A and 1B, I guess.
Games in general just are fucking out of their skull. Like, yeah.
I think, like I said, from the elevation of regular season to playoff, like how much better it gets.
Yeah.
It's definitely like those two sports are different. Basketball is the next one. I think it is the length of the regular season. And even though we brought up, I think on the last pod or the one before it, like it always comes down to one game for a couple teams. Even 100%. Though we act like these games don't matter because there's so many games, it does always come down to one game for probably both leagues at the end of the year. It comes down to the last day. But still, even with that being said, when you really get to the playoffs, man, it's different. It's different. But
Shouts to the Mets. Shouts to the Yankees. Hopefully we get to see you guys and duke it out for the championship, and that would be classic. I honestly,
a lot of baseball.
I'd rather see you guys than the Dodgers. No offense, but I don't want to see that team. I'm good on the Dodgers.
We'll see. All right, we'll get into questions now. We'll get right into it. Welcome to the Hots Corner. I'm fucking hosting tonight, so we'll get right into it. I got some questions here. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is wow. I would say the My Struggle series by this Norwegian writer named Karl Ove Knausgaard. When I was traveling a lot, I was reading his series, and it just kind of got me through my travels. So we'll get into it.
All right.
My Struggle by Karl Ove Knausgaard.
Who is the most clutch athlete of all time?
Most clutch athlete of all time. I'm thinking different sports. I'm just going through the sports and going through. So let me think. I'm gonna go with Jeter. I'll be a homer. I'll go with Jeter.
All All right. Pizza Hut or Domino's?
Domino's all day.
Mike Miller or Kyle Korver?
I'll take Corver.
Would you rather discover the perfect pair of sweatpants or the perfect hoodie?
Perfect hoodie.
Mount Rushmore of tight ends.
Okay. Let's think. It's tough, actually. Wow. Tougher than I thought it would be. Tony Gonzalez. Trav.
I hate how you shorten everything.
I said Tony Gonzalez.
Then he said Travis Pastrana. Who are you talking about?
Travis Kelce. Rob Gronkowski. And trying to think if I want to throw a classic. I'll throw a homer pick. Mark Bavaro.
Greatest rap album. Greatest rap album of all time.
The Locks. We Are the Streets.
What is the worst sports celebration of all time? Worst.
The worst?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy that hit the home run the other night and like did that little hop, skip, and thing, whatever the fuck that was, over rounding third, going home against the Yankees. That was pussy shit. But the worst celebration, probably T.O. when he took the pom poms and started going like this with the pom poms. That was ridiculous.
That's pretty good. All right. Would you rather be a sports agent or a music agent?
Probably sports agent. It's less headaches. Sports agent.
What would be the worst position in the 4 major sports to play?
The worst position? Worst position. It's funny, you use the word worst, so it's like I'm thinking about what does worst mean to me, and like obviously, yeah.
It's
so,
subjective.
Subjective as fuck, right? So I would say I would not want to be a catcher.
Yeah.
That seems like the answer. I don't know.
That was the last one. We'll go through it quick. I guess we could just start there because we'll work backwards. But yeah, that's the right answer.
Right answer, right? Okay. I didn't want to overthink it. I was like, I feel like my hands would get fucked up. I have to worry about so much shit. I have to be crouched the whole fucking game.
Crouch.
My back is done. I have to
crouch.
throw out people at second randomly, and they're the fastest people on earth. I have to manage the game. It's just too much. I don't want any part of that.
The crouch alone is the worst. It's 162, whatever. They both.
Oh yeah, the amount of games. Oh my god.
You know how many hours you spend crouched? You know how uncomfortable that is? But the other things I thought about was like hockey goalie, like you're crouching and you get hit with shots.
Mm-hmm. You get blindsided.
And it's like high pressure. And then the other thing I thought was like offensive line.
That's where I went. I was going to go guard. Like I was going to say guard or center maybe.
Yeah, interior offensive line. Any offense, even tackle too would be terrible.
Yeah,
but catcher I just think is the worst. It's just so much time just crouching.
It's abusive. It feels like it's abusive on your whole entire body, and you can get foul tips into your hands. People can hit you with their bat when they're swinging, like in the back of the head or in the back of your glove or whatever the fuck, like just like random shit.
Even just like when you're catching and like let's say like you make the last out of an inning, you gotta like hurry up and like put on your gear to like go back
or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get out and then you have to go back to the dugout. Yeah.
You like strike out with the bases loaded, and you have to like fucking go
out there taking the fucking pitches to like catch for somebody in your place because you're still fucking getting ready in the dugout because it's such an OD position.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I agree with you there. And then we did sports agent or music agent. I think sports agent, but this
music agent sounds like it's headaches. I feel like there's like shit where like booking cities and like booking tours, and like that stuff is a lot harder than just like being an agent and negotiating a salary and negotiating things for your player. And then once it's kind of locked in, it's like, what does the agent do? It's like kind of just manages him a little bit. Like,
I'm sure you still have to do the bullshit if you have like a bullshit client, but it's more like, for me, is like every musician is going to be like egotistical, and like almost every, like a really hot, where like a lot of athletes are probably like family men and just like chilling, like aren't partying as hard because they have to like take care of their bodies as like a profession.
And chances are they're like a random second baseman on the Twins or something. Like it's just like, or a shooting guard on the Pacers, and it's like, you know, it's not necessarily like they're LeBron James or whatever.
A very low percentage of them are going to be divas, you know, versus musicians where they might all be, you know.
And
like
even
every
Fergies of the world and Brunson, who don't seem like divas as the best player on their team type of guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like even there's probably bad players who are divas. It's just like overall percentage wise, there's way less divas in the sports world, because if you go to a concert, everyone's there to see you. If you go to a game and you're like the 7-hitter hitting 225 and, you know, 15 home runs, like, you know, you don't have an ego really. Like you probably don't even get recognized on the streets, but you still make $8 million a year. You're their agent. You're making $800K off one client, you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to fucking, like I said, musicians where they're all, and like you said too, like there's probably more day to day trying to find different shit. Like where obviously you're trying to get your client endorsement deals in sports, but for the most part, you're just signing their big contract, and once you get that signed with the team,
I feel like the sports agent's more of a guiding position versus like a music agent is more of like a booking position, and like you're doing more hands-on work versus like there is hands-on work with being a sports agent. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more of just management of what they already have in place and updating terms maybe with things that you have, updating sponsorships, things like that.
I will say musicians probably have like a bigger team. Like it's probably not just like the agent doing everything, where sports you probably do have to.
Yeah.
You know, like where you have a business manager, a tour manager, you know what I mean? Like you have
a makeup person, whatever the fuck, outfit person, car person.
If you are a music agent, there's probably agents who like only negotiate deals with like labels.
Or labels.
And then like and then like another guy who only does the concert tour negotiation.
Right. That's
true.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
But then again, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
It depends on the artist. I feel like if you're a Post Malone, you probably have a huge fucking team. But if you're a smaller artist and you're just coming up and you kind of hit a couple hit singles like Ice Spice, like did she have a huge team when she first came out of Upper Manhattan, whatever the fuck, like.
Or like a band that's like has like a good following, but like isn't like huge. Yeah. All right, moving on. What is the worst sports celebration of all time? TL with the pom poms is like a very iconic. Like I remember it very well. I'm more thinking like ones that like stuck around. Like when I was thinking about it, I was like the Cam Newton dab. I thought it was terrible.
The gritty.
Like I like the gritty kind of, to be honest.
The gritty?
Tebowing, I always thought was like a little crazy. But I think he was really just like praying, so it's kind of hard to
your head is like all time celebrations.
Like celebrations that like they were done more than once, like because you could also. But I like where your head with it too, because you could think like the Randy Moss moon, the Joe Horn pulling the cell phone out of like.
I wasn't in love with the Yankees thumbs down year or whatever.
That was kind of I don't like that.
That was kind of lame. Like I didn't love that personally. Like it was cool at the time, but like. I like the Ohtani one that they do now, where he's like kind of like he's like.
I fucking hate it.
I love it. I don't know why. It's just funny. It comes off funny.
Baseball teams are doing that. Somebody was doing like the heart.
Yeah,
that shit's whack.
I like what the Yankees have been doing. The eyes. That's their thing right now. That's what they've been doing every time they get on base. Labor, Soto.
I saw Kike Hernandez hit a home run the other night and then go like dick to dick with a dude, like a chest bump. Did you see that clip going around?
That's no. You gotta find that. I need that still. That's hilarious.
My God.
Holy shit!
I'll try to text it to you right now, but in the meantime, I mean, I'm trying to think of some like other bad celebrations
that were kind of painful.
I mean, we went over a bunch already. I'll ask you about the next question while I look this up real quick.
Okay, cool.
Greatest rap album of all time. I mean, go over some of the songs on that Locks album.
So, the Locks out. Yeah, I mean, Can I Live? I mean, the song produced by DJ Premier. It's just slipping my brain what it's called. It's like it starts rough, dan, dan, dan. That song is amazing. It's just slipping my brain right now. If you know, felony. I can't say the next word, but by Styles P is amazing. What else? There's so many. We Are the Streets title track is amazing. What else? I mean, there's so many good songs on there.
All right, I just sent you
the crotch bump.
Yeah. Okay, so you could basically see it in the thumbnail for the most part, but it is aggressive as fuck.
Yeah, I can see like from the picture. Recognize, by the way, is the name of the song of.
Recognize,
featuring Eve, classic. Y'all Fucked Up Now is a classic. Wild Out is a classic. Fuck You. The second song off the album. If you don't get hyped to that song, if you only want to make it, fuck you. Talk with a heart full of hatred. Fuck you. That song is stupid. That beat is stupid. That's just some New York anthem shit. Close second, I was gonna say, is The Infamous by Mobb Deep. That album with Survival of the Fittest, the 41st Side, which is the first track on the album, is one of my favorite rap songs ever. The first song on The Infamous, if anybody's listening and watching right now, that is the song on that album. But obviously you have the classic fucking from 8 Mile, the last rap, whatever that beat is, Shook One's beat. Obviously that's originally Mobb Deep. They had the Shook Ones Part 1, Part 2 on that album, classic. So yeah, that album was number 2. For me, I have both on vinyl. But I would say
Mobb Deep is a good one. Quiet Storm, I think, was on there too.
Quiet Storm, yeah.
But then I was thinking Illmatic by Nas. I have that on vinyl. I thought about the Blueprint. The Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with an M album as my all-time album just because I don't listen to it anymore. Like all the albums that I just named, I still have listened to from the day that I found them till today.
See, I still listen to old Eminem. I haven't listened to anything new Eminem in a long time.
Yeah. I feel you.
Mathers LP for sure. The Slim Shady LP for sure. But Marshall Mathers LP is a phenomenal
classic album. I mean, that's undeniable. More.
And then the other one, Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
Of course.
Styles P, Gangster and a Gentleman, but that's more of like a personal choice. But
yeah, Gangster and a Gentleman.
Those are just some.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are just some honorable mentions.
Also, 50. We got to name like Get Rich or Die Trying is just a ridiculous album.
Like The Massacre.
And The Massacre. I just put those two albums together, basically. But yeah, if we're going to say all-time rap album.
And if we're going to shout out 50, we got to shout out Kanye for dominating.
Oh, yeah.
Curtis.
Yeah. College Dropout and Graduation and Late Registration. That first 3 albums is... Name a better starting 3.
808s and Heartbreaks.
There's other albums for sure.
Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, Twisted Fantasy.
They're all fucking good. Yeah,
so many
Kanye.
I just think that first 3 off rip is like unfuckwithable.
Yeah. Nah, Kanye, fucking way better artist than person, but incredible fucking guy.
Yeah.
Then we got Mount Rushmore of tight ends. This one's tough for me.
Shouts to Mark Bavaro.
Yeah, not deserving.
Super Bowl champion. All right. If I was going to actually put someone there not named Mark Bavaro, and I was just not picking a classic giant, I would go with probably like Jeremy Shockey. I'm just... All right.
Jason Witten, bro.
Jason
Witten.
George Kittle came to my brain. Shannon Sharp came to my brain. Antonio Gates came to my brain. These are guys that I'm just saying they showed up in my brain when I was thinking about the subject. We have our 3. Three rock stars are the same, right? Gonzalez, Gronkowski, Kelsey. We have our rock stars there for those 3?
I think you can't. I would say those 3 and Jason Witten would be mine, but I think Jason Witten is safer than Kelsey even.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like you're
there's no rings. There's no like big time football from Witten. It's all regular season stuff.
What rings does Tony Gonzalez have?
Kelsey has 2 rings, right?
What about Tony Gonzalez?
But he's got the all-time stats.
So does Jason Witten.
He's all-time.
What do you mean? What does Jason Witten have? He has more than Kelsey and Gronkowski and everything.
But does he have more than Gonzalez in yards and catches and all that? I think Gonzalez has all that stuff, right?
He's just behind Gonzalez and all those things, but he's also the way better blocker than all those three besides Gronk.
Yeah, he's another offensive lineman. Yeah, I guess you're making a point. I guess the lack of playoff statistics is something, I guess, but you're making a good point about Gonzalez. Gonzalez did have playoff runs. I think his best playoff run was with Atlanta when he was with Matt Ryan. I don't even think it was with Trent Green and those boys.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, and even then he's older. But I think you underestimate, like, Jason Witten being debatably the best blocking tight end of all time. And he's second to Tony
Gronk. Him or Gronk. It's close.
And he's second to Tony Gonzalez and all those things. Like,
in yards and catches and all that shit?
Yeah, he's got 13,000 yards and 1,200 catches. That's like that's probably top 10 or top 15 at least in just receiving numbers, not just tight end numbers.
Yeah.
13,000 yards and 1,200
I mean, I'm the
catches.
last guy to just like homerly hate on Cowboys. So I'm hearing you. I'm thinking about it. I swear he went through my head when I was thinking about it for real and I wasn't thinking Barbaro and just trolling you. Like, the guys that came to my head were Witten.
And he never fucking missed time.
And he didn't. I was about to say, he's an Iron Man, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he played with a broken jaw.
That's insane.
He ran without his helmet on.
Old school fucking chin pads that they had, those old school strap 'em ups. Like, my God.
Well, let's just say putting Bavaro ahead of him is absolutely insane.
Oh yeah, that was total troll, like Giant fan shit. Yeah. Bavaro's on ahead of most of those guys I just named, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, no, none of those guys you just said.
Yeah, but he's not better than Gates or these fucking psychos that are like.
Besides Shockey, maybe that's the only guy.
Of course he clears Shockey. Everyone that we just talked about clears Shockey by a mile. Greg Olsen is the guy, but he's not gonna have enough statistics. Not on that long enough.
No, Greg Olsen is a good shout though. I was thinking I've wanted to give him a shout out, but
for sure.
Yeah, that's obviously there's some old school guys that just don't have the numbers like that.
Right.
Ozzie Newsome's, Kellen Winslow, John Mackey's, but in terms of, I really think this was one I thought was like a right answer, wrong answer one, and it was Tony Gonzalez, Jason Witten, Travis Kelce, and Gronkowski. And the one that you could switch out would be Kelce for Shannon Sharp or Antonio Gates, and that'd probably be it.
Kittle's having a hell of a year this year again. It's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
Kittle needs to do more before he really gets up there. He's still
has a couple years left to be able to do it too.
Oh, absolutely, but he's still like Kittle still has less yards than Heath Miller and Jared Cook and Zach Ertz and Vernon Davis. Like, he still needs to do more.
Then, yeah. Okay.
He's got like half as many yards as Jason Witten, for example. Like he would need to have another whole career of what he's had to catch Jason Witten.
And that puts in perspective Jason Witten, for the record.
Yeah. Jason Witten has 13,000 yards and 1,200 catches. I was there for Jason Witten's 1,000th catch.
How many seasons?
What?
How many seasons?
I would say 14, probably.
13,000 yards in 14 seasons?
Yeah, I think so.
If that's real, that's absolutely psycho shit for a tight end.
He was having like 100-yard catches like multiple seasons.
Yeah, I mean, him and Romo were dynamite, bro.
And massive. All right, he played 17 seasons. I forgot he came back for the 2 years.
Average over each year then would be 17
but
seasons.
But the last year was like barely at all with the Raiders.
He had also 16 seasons for 13,000 yards. I mean, that's good.
He had 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
Like, I won 1,100.
Kelsey's had, I think, like 7 or 8, right? Kittle's had a bunch.
I don't think Kittle's had that many, to be honest.
Over 1,000? Yeah,
he's 2.
I'm telling you, he has a decent amount.
George Kittle has 3 years over 1,000.
That's good. How many seasons? 8 seasons? 7 seasons? That's pretty good. Considering you just said 4 for Witten in a career of 14 years, 15 years.
Yeah, so 8. But what I'm saying is that he did it 4 times, and it was back then, and he also had a bunch with 900, 800,
Oh, in terms of like consistency. Also, I think Kittle has like a 900-yard season too, if I'm remembering right. But
he's got 3 over 1,000, and one of them a big year, 13,000, 1,300 to be fair. Wow. But after that, it's 515, 634, 765, and then 910.
That's the one. 910. I'm not a crazy person.
But there's also like 515 and 634, you know?
Yeah, there's some down years there. Like definitely steady Eddie. In terms of like your steadiness for each week, the guy that you don't have to think about who's going to be there every time, Jason Witten, number 82. Like he's going to be in the lineup every week. There's no doubt about it. There's no thought. Kittle had some injuries, things like that. He's still developing as a player in terms of like his stats and what he's going to be when he hangs him up. He's not finished with his career by any means. He's having a great season, a career year this year actually. So I think that we could revisit this, but I think your case is made. I think Witten belongs up there and he's to be put up there. I think if you want to put a guy like Sharp, who has 3 Super Bowls and was an electric factory too, and was great in the postseason, you can make an argument for it because of winning football.
Yeah, I also think we keep glossing over the fact that Jason Witten was one of the greatest blocking tight end. Or you go on to argue Gronk. I won't fight you for it, but he was so much better than all these guys at blocking. Every single guy we named.
Another argument for Kittle, by the way, is that incredible blocking.
Kittle just isn't even close to putting.
Right, he's not there yet. I'm talking when we revisit him. Maybe
Kittle doesn't have another 8 years in him, and he definitely doesn't have another 8 years producing what he already has produced. The half of his career isn't going to be as productive as the front half of his career.
850, 900 yards a season for the next 8 seasons, 6 to 8 touchdowns.
But I'm saying all right, so that means he'd have to probably average more than what he did average.
No, he's had
for the first 8 seasons.
1,000-yard seasons, and we talked about a 1,300-yard season.
But I'm saying he's at 6,500 yards over 8 seasons.
Okay. So
he'd have to average. Yeah, he'd have to average more to catch Jason Witten over the second half. So that means when he's in his mid-30s, he's still going to be averaging 850 yards a season.
Yeah, that's unlikely. That's probably unlikely then.
It's almost impossible. I would bet the odds on him catching Jason Garrett and catches in yards.
Modern day football injuries and shit more than ever, and he's not really a guy that's as big and as a fucking house as Witten is. Truly, Kittle is a beast of a guy, but Witten was another offensive lineman.
No, Witten. I've been on the field for a Cowboys-Giants game, and Jason Witten was just as big as Tyron Smith. No bullshit.
Running routes and crafty as fuck with those good feet in the middle of the field, just working it. He was a pain in the Giants' fucking ass, dude.
Maybe listed at 6'2", 65, but I think was closer to 6'7", 280. When you see him out there, he was enormous. Yeah. And not that this is all to downplay George Kittle. I'm just saying,
No.
George Kittle.
We're talking about greatness here.
I just don't think he deserves. He doesn't deserve to be put over. I think even he needs a double. And if you talk about playoff success, George, to hold back Jason Witten, it's not like George Kittle has had any playoff success.
He has probably a ton more playoff stats.
And again, we're talking about
no rings, so it's
And again, we're talking about tight ends. What can Jason Witten do to affect a Super Bowl or not?
Probably not much.
So it's hard to, like I said, the great number one on Mount Rushmore is Tony Gonzalez, even though he didn't block, and even though he never had playoff success. Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end of all time because he changed the whole fucking game to
he made the tight end, what we talk about as tight ends being pass catchers and who they are.
Our tight end could be our best pass catching option.
Literally.
That, maybe Kellen, like we said, those older guys, but even then, there were other guys who probably had more targets, more yards. Tony Gonzalez.
Birthed from Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez.
Gronkowski, everything. Leading the team in targets, catches, yards was Tony Gonzalez, And then some people have carried the torch, but we'll keep it moving. But you can't have a Mount Rushmore without Jason Witten. No way. Would you rather discover the perfect pair of sweatpants or the perfect hoodie? This is a good question because I think you could justify either one. But
I would go with hoodie only because I am such a hoodie person. I probably have 20 hoodies and personal taste. I do like a nice pair of sweats. I love Lululemon sweats. Call me whatever you want to call me right now, John, in your brain or on the pod. Lululemon sweats are the GOAT. So I do like a nice pair of sweats for sure, or some Under Armour joints. But in general, hoodies all day. Need it.
Lululemon is
in the summer, hoodie in the winter, hoodie in any season. Hoodie.
Well, that's where I almost disagree. Is like I think sweatpants are more like you could wear them throughout the year more
No
than
way.
hoodies.
It's hot. I got my legs exposed, dude. I got the balls,
But
a little air, you know?
If you're hot, you could wear a hoodie. Like, what do you mean? Like, what weather?
Like, I mean, like, if you're hot, but like if you're going out and like you're trying to get a sweat or something like that, like I'm not throwing on sweats first. I'm throwing shorts on, and maybe I'll throw a hoodie on top. I'm trying to lose a little extra on top. Trying to get extra
Yeah,
sweat.
nah. See, I'm way more of I'll wear sweatpants with a t-shirt more than I'll wear a hoodie with shorts.
We're opposite on this one. All right.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
No, I like.
What's your favorite pair of sweats though? What's the brand? Like, what are we talking here? You got to throw a little lob here.
I mean, I'll mix it up. I mean, I like Nike. Like, I try to have different brands because I always try to have the same brand as like my shoes. Like, I hate wearing different brands. Like, when I see someone with like an Adidas hat and like Nike pants, and like
Totally, it's so stupid. It's some New York shit, but it's like so.
I have like OCD. Like, I can't do it. Like, I can't leave the house.
Adidas socks out of your fucking thing, or Puma socks or whatever, and you know you're about to put on Nikes, and you're like, I just can't. Like,
Nah, no way.
I can't do it.
I mean,
like,
if they're like socks you can't see, like ankle socks where I'm wearing high tops, would be the only way I could even think about doing it. Like,
or they're long socks, and I got my sweats on.
I'm talking like, and I'm not saying like I'll wear like a hat brand with like a shoe brand, but like if it's a big brand, like I said, Nike, Adidas, fucking, I guess Puma, even like, I don't know, I don't really rock Puma. I guess it's basically for me, it comes down to Nike and Adidas. Like, I'm not wearing Adidas sneakers with a Nike hat. Or, you know, and I have a lot of each thing, and it always has to be matched. I can never like, so I guess I need to have a pair of all different types. But I do have like Champion, which I can wear with like either one.
Champion's a nice universal logo, so that's all I was about to get into. Starter, Champion. There's like these brands that are like they can go with Nike or Adidas. They're not in your head the competitors that you look like a clown.
Yeah. Starter, Russell, Champion.
Yeah, it's good.
You can't go Reebok.
No,
you can't go Puma.
Reebok's dead anyway. I don't have any Reebok gear. I don't even barely have any Adidas gear, to be honest, because it's Nazi shit. But that sounds crazy.
I'll tell you.
That is true.
Yeah, no, it is true. It's like Mercedes-Benz also, but
yeah, exactly.
You don't have to get into fucking Nazis.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin the day, but I don't really wear Adidas. I'll be honest.
But what was another one I was thinking of? Oh shit, I just lost my place. But Jordan, even Jordan with Nike. Even like Jordan with Nike, I don't even really like.
Jordan with Adidas, I think you're pushing it.
Oh, you're going crazy. But I'm saying Jordan has to be with Jordan.
Jordan has to be with Jordan. Jordan with Nike is what we call passable.
Yeah. I would say it's passable and all of this is stuff that like no one else cares about but me.
It's total bullshit. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who's watching us right now. We have a couple people watching us. I see we have multiple viewers right now. It's hilarious at fucking mad late at night. Shouts to you, fucking Row 26ers. Yeah. But in general, like if you think about it, like this is all crap what we're talking about. This is nonsensical bullshit that we're just throwing on top of this. Like wear whatever clothes you fucking got and you can afford. Like at the end of the day, no one's actually giving a fuck. But if you have some New Yorkers walking by you, just know mentally they're wondering why you're wearing an Adidas shirt with Nike sweat and sneakers. Like we are wondering.
You can't be like my favorite sweatpants are Lululemon, and then be like whatever you can afford. Like
yeah.
You're like you spend.
Oh, but for real though, in general, more on the trope of like, yo, wear whatever you got. Like it's all good. It's more on the thought.
Real quick, it's like I know that this is like an old man yelling at clouds take, but obviously I go to gym 5 days a week. Most people there are younger than me at this point. I am like developing, like it's close. There's still a lot of older people who work out and good for them, but like most of the people there are younger than me, and the workout outfit culture is crazy.
The split shirts now and like what I've seen, some of it's getting a little
more just like the brand of like how like girls wearing matching stuff was kind of always a thing, but has obviously developed now, and like girls wearing makeup at the gym it's like crazy to me.
Yeah.
But like the guys wearing like matching Fabletics shirts and short, like, and they wear it like every week. They have like their Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like I see the same guys in the same short and shirt combo. Like they don't go to the gym.
That do this. I don't even want to talk right now. Oh my god,
crazy! It is, and I'm like like I said, this old man take. Yeah, if I was their age, I'd probably do the same shit. But I'm like, I have a drawer that's like gym shirts and a drawer that's like gym pants or shorts, you know, and I just grab one thing from each and I go to the gym. And it's like an oversized T-shirt or a tank and sweatpants or shorts.
Suburb dad gym goer in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the
kids that you're talking about are obsessed with health and all their nonsensical bullshit because they probably or they are like
I think it's a vice versa.
Videos. You think it's vice
versa? I think they're obsessed with pussy. Like I think they're like
right. They get none for the record, but they wear these outfits thinking that that's what girls want to see or whatever the fuck in the gym. I think
some of them get girls. I'm not even hating on them in general of their life. Like I just think like they're like I think they're trying to get. That's how they think they're gonna pick up girls at the gym.
And they're picking up gym girls for the record, most likely.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just so enamored with like this is my personality versus like this is thing that I do, like, you know what I mean? Or it's like their whole personality.
Is such a slippery slope. I don't even want to talk right now because this is on wax, but you are waxing poetic right now about the idea of the gym becoming people's identity and personality versus just being a place that you go to be healthy.
And don't get me wrong, it's a part of my personality.
Part of you, it shouldn't be all of you, right?
It's one thing that I talk about with people who also like working out, but I don't try to talk to people about it who don't work out. I find something else that we have a common interest. Like there's some people who could
into our group chat is your bench pressing videos, and when you're putting up 300 or whatever the fuck on a leg press or whatever it is, and you and Nick or you and some of the boys are talking about your KC, whoever's talking out who like is passionate about working out.
In the group chat with the other people, some other people work out, some people don't
work out consistently. You know, like we're just like golfers or whatever the fuck. We're dads, all this shit. So it's like we're just looking at it. It's not like you're letting this like be your only identity. Like the next day you're talking about NFL or whatever the fuck. Like
golf is the perfect parallel of like that's another thing that people let become their whole personalities is golf. Great. Like that's another thing that like
live around. Yes.
Yeah. There's many other versions of this. To be fair, they're like correct. You know, but
like, I haven't played golf in more than 2 weeks, bro. People see me like I'm a golfer, but like I haven't had time. Like Christy's birthday, we're doing things. Like there's different things. Life is happening. Like I'm not obsessed where golf is the priority. Everything else takes the back seat because I need to play my golf. Like some people are with the gym. It's like if I don't get to the gym, my whole day is ruined. It's like because you have things to do or you have a wedding to go to. It's like no. I still got to go to the gym at 6 a.m. at this hotel when I visit my friend because I'm going to a wedding. Like they have no capacity of letting it go ever at any point in time because it is them. And if they don't do it, their whole day is ruined. It's like okay. Like
in terms of like the actual daily routine, like no one golfs every day. Like you know, what I mean? People do work out
at least 5, 6, 7 times a week. Like
that's true. But basically, it comes to any walk of life. If all you can do is talk about one thing, it's like very limited. Like you know, you have to have layers. That's what I'm trying to preach right now. If anything, is that like be cultured in multiple things.
Multifaceted, yes.
Yeah, and now I guess we'll skip around a little bit. We'll still do everything, but it kind of bleeds into our next thing where this came from would you rather discover the perfect pair of sweatpants or the perfect hoodie? By the way, I think hoodie's a good answer because it is like more of a style thing too,
for sure,
where like you could fucking rap and also be comfortable as fuck. It can duel, where sweatpants can only be so stylish at the end of the day.
Yeah, most people are not checking for your sweats. Maybe they'll see like a college logo at the top if they catch that. Maybe like whatever, something
then,
like.
Don't get me wrong, some sweatpants are fresh, but like a hoodie, could be the nicest piece of clothing at an outing. Like, you could be like, that's the sickest piece here is a hoodie. You'll never say that about sweatpants.
100%. You go to a music festival, you look at your favorite artists. You're not looking at the sweats. You're looking at the hoodies. That's a fact. That's a fact.
All right. So to being cultured, I'm gonna spin it back to the first question because I'm breaking all the rules tonight. What is your favorite book? Yeah. So yours seems like a nonfiction.
Yes. This is like about his life, Carl's life, and like kind of how he was going through different memories, but it's almost like he was able to infuse his current personality into what his personality was at that time. And his style, it's really the style, the way he writes. It's just like he puts you there so well. It's just like, it's like you're experiencing what he's seeing, and his conversations with his parents are so relatable from a young age, and like the things that he goes through, like going to different friends' houses, walking through the snow. I remember some of the books are talking about this in the middle of Norway, like crazy shit that should not be relatable to me, but like it's so relatable. And yeah, like I just love this style. There's 5 of the books. They're called My Struggle. It's a series. It's great. They take different parts of his life, when his wife gets sick, when he has kids, and he's always going back and forth from when he's a child and things like that. So it's like the way he really keeps you like moving within his story and things like that. It's not a boring read by any means. And then he has these other 4 books that are the seasons. So they're literally called Winter, Autumn, Spring, and they're just sick books about how weather and just like infused with his life and what his weather means to him, those seasons mean to him each year, and how those things envelop in his memories and things like that. Like, just a dope writer. Karlov Nosgard, shout out. Another guy I was thinking about was Schopenhauer's like best, like his best work, one of those like Penguin novels, like basically where you can see all the best Schopenhauer like pieces basically, and that's like his best work. It's like comprised into a fucking one book essentially, and like a one of those.
I think it's called like an anthology.
That's a good word, like an anthology, like kinda, and
short stories.
I always loved Schopenhauer's work. Very glass half empty in a sense, kind of dark in a sense, but just good, poignant, just like it's nerves, and just like makes you feel like you're nothing but also something at the same time. Know how else to explain it? Like you're actually worth nothing, but at the same time, like you are worth everything to the earth, and the things that he talks about and his mentality is sick. So shout out to him as well.
Cool.
In our classic.
The first series.
What are you thinking about?
Oh, I got a few. I mean, the first series that you were bringing up just makes me think of like, I do think that the only way, like, I don't want to say like label what you're reading as self-help, but for me, like, the only thing that ever works in terms of like self-help or bettering, whatever you want to label it as,
sure,
is like when it's just like real life stuff that like they mix in the lessons. Like it's like an autobiography, but then they mix in lessons where it's like, as opposed to those books that are like, do this, do this, do this, do this, because how I always look at stuff is like, you can do exactly what, for the lack of a better person, Michael Jordan did, and do everything he did his entire life, step by step, minute by minute, emulate, copy his days, and you won't have the success he had because you're different people. So like what you're saying, when you relate to the stories, that's when you could actually gain from what someone is trying to tell you, as opposed to when people kind of just list out actions to take or whatever. Yeah. Like when you could like hear a story and be like, this is how you respond to this sort of adversity. And this is
kind of gives his opinion about it from like a sarcastic perspective and talks about what he did wrong or what he did right there within those memories. And it's like,
you need like a real life example.
Yeah. Like
you need a real life example.
A life example?
You need a real life example to. Oh yeah. As opposed to just like, when this happens, do this. Like
so
as
like,
opposed.
Yeah, exactly.
When
more
people
like
are like,
going to a real
when
party
you
when you were
are
in high school. Yes, exactly. Yes.
When you are down on your luck, you should do this, as opposed to like, when I was 17, my dad walked out and I had to take care of my mom who was sick. So this is what I did. Like. And it's obviously you don't have to have a sick mom and dad or whatever to do this. You just have to like apply, like, okay, find a solution. Like, it's like you can, it's almost more like you can overcome versus like, this is how you overcome. You just need to know it's possible and then follow that like logic versus like, oh, if you're in a situation, this is how you get out of it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When like everyone's path is different. That's all I was saying.
There's a genius quote that someone once said. I forget the person, but there's a genius quote. It's like, smart people learn from their own mistakes. Genius is learned from others. So if you're able to be able to put yourself in other people's experiences while you're reading or whatever it might be or whatever you're thinking about, and you're like feeling those emotions as you're reading along and thinking about what you would have done in that situation or what they're doing and how you're seeing the writing on the wall, what's going to happen maybe in these next few paragraphs or whatever the fuck it is, and you're able to learn from it from their perspective and what happened there, and then apply that within your own life as you go through life and maybe come across a similar type of dilemma. That's the shit right there. That's really much more than like an Atomic Habits James Clear book, which is like telling you do this for 2 weeks, you will learn how to do this.
The 48 laws of power, Robert Greene, all that shit.
These types of books are great. Like I've read, actually, I have Atomic Habits. So if anybody's hating on me, you can't shit on me. I've read Atomic Habits. So I got time for those types of books too. They're blow throughs. They're generally just like good strategy stuff to kind of just apply within your daily life in a sense, but not stuff you're going to really build character off of, really build those moments where there's not going to be a guide like telling you how to move when you're at a party and there's this door to go through, this door to go through. You're with different types of people that are influencing you, and you've maybe had experience through reading or whatever it might be that you've now pocketed, that you know how to maybe maneuver situations because you've experienced it through reading and different types of exposure through maybe shows, whatever it might be, and you're capable of being that genius, quote unquote, and learning from what you see and read. That's the real shit in life that really separates people, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I do want to shout out like fiction novels because that's like, I would never say like my favorite book is a nonfiction, to be honest. I just think like those are great and they're useful and they're purposeful, and some of them have been great for me, like, you know, to be honest, like helped me so much in my life. But in terms of like what's my favorite, like best memories reading, you know, my favorite book of all time, I know this off the top of my head, is The Picture of Dorian Gray. And it is a bit of a chew through. It's like a classic, so it's like not an easy read by any means, but it's like the fucking story, the twist, the climax. Oscar Wilde's only novel, obviously known more as like a poet.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable fucking book. Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut.
I know that book.
Basically, any Kurt Vonnegut
we have that book in our house. Yeah, it's a great book.
Basically, any Kurt Vonnegut book is great.
Legend.
I'm rereading The Stand right now by Stephen King. That's another
Never
one.
got into him. Never got into him.
I'm not a big Stephen King guy. Like, some people swear by him, but The Stand is really good. It's like basically what all of this post-apocalyptic stuff now that comes out. It's like born from. You know what I mean? Like we talked about. Like,
my memory, by the way, 1984. Got to get a shout Orwell. Like that's a classic.
Yeah, George Orwell.
Great
yeah.
Book. Oh yeah.
But so the Stand. It's basically like we were talking about Tony Gonzalez for tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
The Stand is like to The Walking Dead and The Last of Us.
I gotcha. Okay.
All this, you know what I mean? All these
doing all those types of.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like there's an illness and everyone gets sick, and it's like post-apocalyptic, people meeting up, and there's obviously other storylines to it as well. But I'm rereading it now. It's another one that's so long, and like you gotta chew through it. But I almost like
his books are all like fucking war.
He's very self-indulgent, but this, like I said, I'm not a Stephen King stan by any means. But then again, a lot of the movies that he wrote, books he wrote became really good movies that I do like also, you know. So, but the Stand is the one like standalone book that I'm like, this is a masterpiece.
I thought you were gonna shout George R.R. Martin for the game.
I do love A Song of Ice and Fire. I do love some of his other works, Princess and the Queen, The Hedge Knight, Duncan Egg, like, you know. But honestly, like he needs to finish the series before I can get, like, he's gonna die and like someone else is gonna finish it, you know. And even like the HBO producers are almost already gone like past where he was, you know. It's just like, I think he just likes.
the whole thing they just made up the most recent Game of Thrones series. The last season was all fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like they already went past. So I mean. But yeah, those books are fucking. I would recommend reading all of them to anyone who likes to read. Still, but
there's a little nonfiction and fiction for you.
And then just one more like autobiography shout, because we did talk about nonfiction, but like autobiography versus like those other ones that have like lessons and stuff like that, but just like a true autobiography that is inspirational is Every Day I Fight by Stuart Scott.
Okay.
And then one more, actually, real quick, I have it here.
And I'll say before you say your last one, I'll let you have the last piece. One that's called The Perfect Season. I got it when I was really young. It's all about the 1998 season in the MLB and all the things that happened that year. Yankees breaking the wins, or doing the wins record, whatever they got that year. Fucking McGuire, Chase, the whole season is encapsulated in this one book. It's awesome. I forget the writer of it, but yeah. Shouts to The Perfect Season as well. And Hot, to take it away for the last book of the night.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite nonfiction book. It's called Love, Death, and Prize Fighting by Josh Saman. He was like on The Ultimate Fighter, was a UFC fighter briefly. He died. You know, there's a lot of, like, he wrote that before he died, obviously, but you know, like he had a lot of shit going on in his life, and just like
that book's heavy.
A very cool, heavy but good, like memoir, like, you know, just. And I know a lot of people haven't read it, so if you are seeing this, you know, it's like a shout to like we were talking about all these other books we talked about. Probably a lot of people have heard. Like that is not like a huge book, but it's Love, Death, and Prize Fighting. The
Rest
Housekeeper.
Josh Shaman, man.
Josh Shaman, yeah.
Rest in peace, yeah.
All right, and then we'll blast through these last couple real quick. Most clutch athlete of all time. Jeter was on my list, so I can't hate on it. I don't really think it's a homer answer. I think he did show up.
It's not a home run answer either, though. It's not a homer answer as much. It is because I'm a Yankee fan, but it's not a home run answer either, in my opinion. I feel like there's guys that you could say very easily over him. One guy that really came to my mind was Michael Jordan, obviously.
Yeah, that's probably 1-1.
That's probably the answer, but another guy, Mariano Rivera, was the guy that actually came to my brain as well when I thought about Jeter. Another guy that I thought about was Eli Manning. I know you're gonna hate, but very clutch player. He brought 2 rings to us by being clutch. So do what you want.
I don't think he has as much of a longevity of clutch. He had like 2 clutch years. A couple
really big years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like a clutch player, like when within the middle games of seasons that were 7-9, and like he would win a random game, come back and win it for us. But obviously, he's the reason why we're losing the game in general, because probably 2 picks in the first and second quarter.
Look, so he had those 2. If you want to say clutchest runs of all time, you can include Eli Manning. But clutchest players of all time, I don't think you can put him in that.
I think
category.
Brady's probably more clutch, actually. Brady's a very clutch player. I think I'm trying to think of other quarterbacks. Mahomes is a clutch quarterback, I think, for sure.
Madison Bumgarner, I think, deserves a shout.
Bumgarner's
he was
a good
so
one.
Clutch for
very
them.
Clutch player.
David Ortiz is pretty clutch.
Pedro was generally before the Phillies on Boston. He was a pretty fucking clutch pitcher.
Yeah, no, he had some clutch years. I think it should. Yeah. I think we did some good ones there. I mean,
I think that's
obviously you kind of go quarterback, baseball.
Yeah, the other
Kobe.
guy,
Kobe we kind of left out.
Kobe, definitely clutch, not afraid of the moment for sure. Shouts to Kobe.
I think Curry should get a shout. Honestly, I mean
Curry
that was last
an
Olympics.
Clutch player, yeah. Kyrie. We have to say Kyrie.
Kyrie too is very clutch.
Kyrie's
I'm sure if we went back to like Bird, Magic, I don't remember the moments, but I'm sure they had some big time
Magic
clutch
more than
games.
Bird. Yeah, I remember the Sky.
I don't know. Bird was pretty clutch. He had that one steal fucking at the end of the game.
Yeah, the Kevin Johnson play. Yeah.
Dennis Johnson
play. Excuse me. Yeah, that's true. Kevin Johnson play on the Suns. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say Magic's hook though in the finals is probably a little bit more famous. That was a huge shot.
Crazy. All right, but I think we did it. Like I said, I don't hate Jeter as an answer though. I do remember him always, coming up with 2 outs and getting big hits. So I think that's And when I think of clutch, I think of baseball first. To be honest,
I was just about to say that. When you think of clutch, it's like baseball and basketball. I feel like are the 2 because individuals can just like put their thumb on the game. Quarterback is like the one thing we can have that conversation, but still like I don't know.
Kicker maybe, but even that. But
Terry's a good shout. Nice.
But I was just thinking, like with baseball, it's like, especially as a hitter, it's like you have the lowest odds. Like like let's say you're a quarterback, like you complete 65% of your passes. You're a fucking shooting guard. You hit 50% of your shots. Mm-hmm. You're a fucking hitter. You're
a batting 280.
And with 2 outs, that's even lower. With 2 strikes, it's even lower than that.
Yeah, you're batting 200 with 2 strikes. It's like, and in November with the weather, at this weather, when you're freezing, like the stats are so against you. You're like 1 out of 10 hits, and then you come up clutch. It's crazy. Yeah.
Baseball, you could like be clutch one time. Like I guess we kind of brought it up with Eli Manning, but like baseball, you could have like 1 clutch postseason run, like Pablo Sandoval, and like your name will live on
Robin
forever.
Ventura shouts.
Yeah, he had some big moments, but then we had Pizza Hut or Domino's. I'm a Pizza Hut guy. You quickly went Domino's.
No, cheesy bread.
I like the stuffed crust.
Cheesy bread, Cinesticks, even the Buffalo wings back in the day. Good fuck with those.
Pizza Hut wings are way better than Domino's wings.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And Pizza Hut has stuffed crust. Stuffed crust. You don't fuck with the stuffed crust?
Well, did you order Pizza Hut in high school?
Nah, Domino's always.
This is the problem. See, if you're from Rockland, what the fuck is Pizza Hut?
Well, maybe I like Pizza Hut more because I had it less. And you got to go when you went there.
I've had Pizza Hut maybe 3 times my whole life.
That's
Domino's
crazy.
probably had 3 times maybe in like 3 days in college at Buffalo.
As recent as the last decade, maybe like a year or two past then, like I wanted like Pizza Hut for like my birthday with like my girlfriend. Like I wanted to go to Pizza Hut with like the salad bar in Nanuet. Like it's so good. The wings, like I said, the wings are way better than not even close. And then you get
How
the
could that be your birthday
crust.
dinner? You don't want like anything? You want tapas? You don't want anything nice? You want to do anything
Nah,
nice?
it was perfect. It was one of the best birthday I ever had. Best birthday dinner ever. But fucking this, if you've never experienced like the salad bar Pizza Hut, it is like a different experience.
I experienced it, yes.
But and then the last one was Mike Miller or Kyle Korver, because I do want to do a quick victory lap, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Victory formation.
What are we at right now? Hour 30. All right, let's wrap out hour 35. Let me wrap this right here.
So Mike Miller and
Korver, bigger games. I feel like the Hawks years were cool. The early Philly years with the fucking emo look was sick. He's more of a hype beast guy. Like when he got hot, even those Utah years were sick. Like just a more like electric shooter. Like Mike Miller, maybe pure form and maybe as good of a shooter, but I just like I liked how hype beast and what Korver made your team feel when he hits threes. Like when he's getting going on those Atlanta teams, it was an electric factory. This guy's fucking psycho.
Yeah, I think where I thought about it with was like Mike Miller, I think was a better overall player, but Kyle Korver was a better shooter. Yeah. And it's like kind of was like that's where I was like, I wonder.
Moore had some good years in the Grizzlies. Had some good years. Great player.
Rookie of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I think Korver made an All-Star team once. I don't think Mike Miller.
The Atlanta team that everyone made the All-Star team when they won the East. That was bullshit.
Yeah. 2-time NBA champ for Mike Miller.
True, for the Heat, the Heatles.
Yeah.
That's right. Forgot about that.
But I do like Mike Miller, but I don't know. I like Kyle Korver more, but I think Mike Miller's probably overall better.
This guy's part of Blink-182. I'm fucking that, and then banging threes. And played with AI on Philly, like in those early years too.
I don't know if he was there then. I think he was still like at Creighton.
When he played with them, I think he played with AI 1 year. I want to go out on a limb with that Eric Snow and Aaron McKee team. I feel like he was on that team as a young player. That's crazy.
No, I don't think so. It's close. Let me look it up.
I'd have to look it up. George Lynch from UNC was on that team, obviously. Was Korver on that team or not?
Hang on, I'm looking it up right now.
Damn, that would be a pull and a half. I don't know if I'm on that. Maybe.
No, it looks like he. Hang on, I got you right now.
What you got? Yeah?
Yeah, he was there. Allen Iverson, 0304.
I know my basketball.
But I don't know if he was playing like that.
No, he was like a bench warmer, but like he would come in sometimes. I remember I played with him in video games. I'd put him in because he was like 99 3-point shooter.
Yeah, 12 minutes per game. Not that decent. Yeah, that's a good pull.
There you go. Miles McBride minutes. I see you, kid. I see you out there, Kyle.
All right. Victory formation.
Talk to me.
All right. Well, I forgot to shout out last episode. We were talking about Salvador Dali a few episodes ago.
Oh, wow.
Zach sent me the picture. Got to shout him out. That's very I thought you were sending me your wedding invitation. So I know you're engaged. When you asked for my address, I was like, oh, wedding invitations must be coming out. And then I got this in the mail. I had no idea where the fuck it came from.
We're still planning that right now. We're still planning that. And maybe
take your time. I thought it might have been quick, but I was just like, when you first asked me my address, that's what I thought. So then, but I did have some cleanup to do because we said the Scream was also Dolly. The Scream was actually Edward Munch.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. I didn't realize that you were going to look that up. That's so funny because Christy caught the same thing. She watched back and she heard the same thing and she was like, that's not right. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, the hanging clock. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, that's not Dolly. So
no, this is Dolly.
That's Dolly, but the other one that we were talking about. Scream. Yeah. This.
Yeah. The Scream is Edward Munch. Yeah. So we have to clean that up. We got
we need victory formation. Yeah. We got to make sure all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted. But
and obviously, it wouldn't be a Row 26 episode if we didn't shout out Army and the quarterback Bryson Daly, still undefeated. Average victory by 31.5 points per game for Army. Bryson Daly, 738 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 yards a carry, 482 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, no sacks allowed. Ridiculous. He's only dropped back like 40 times, but still.
Heisman.
I mean, he should get invited. He'll never win, but with Janty,
there's a time to invite an Army quarterback.
And I want to put myself in this victory formation because now on a lot of national podcasts, you're hearing about Army football.
Yeah.
And I was early. I was early to this take.
You were troping on him weeks ago, like week 2 or something like that. You're like, this kid at Army is fucking nuts.
I'm telling you, watch them play every week, and he could be Taysom Hill in the NFL. I'm saying it right now. They could find a way, whatever, with the eligibility. We talked about it before, but I just want to, like I said, everyone's talking about Army, Navy, and I also want to say Navy also undefeated, playing very well. Army better. Army is better team for sure, better quarterback, better defense.
Army's still ranked, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, Army's ranked now. They have Kwame Udo and Noah Short also to go along with Bryson Daly, 2 absolute weapons at in the slot back and at the fullback position. And Army or Navy is likely going to be an at-large bid to the college football playoffs. And just think about if Army football makes a run, how crazy that would be. I mean, obviously they're going to run into, teams where their biggest lineman.
It would be the biggest baby face to make a run. The world would be behind that team. All the bystanders, everyone would be behind that team.
I mean, their heaviest offensive lineman is probably like 275 tops.
That's gonna be a problem.
It's going to be tough when they get there. But then again, they're playing teams that are D1 football teams that have 300-pound linemen, and they're just more disciplined, more intellectual with their play.
To like get these guys moving a little bit out of don't use the quintessential down back type shit. Get them moving. Use the athleticism to their advantage type of thing.
And the quarterback is a college football there's and like I said, he could be Taysom Hill in the NFL. He's not going to be fucking Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, obviously,
right.
But he is let's say to college football, he's like a Johnny Manziel, or I don't want to say maybe that's even an extension, but he's a great college football player, not just great for Army, like a stud college football player who could run and throw. And he doesn't throw a lot, but when he throws, he's accurate. He's hitting people in stride down the field, and they're wide open because they run the ball so well. So I love this Army football team. This is basically Iowa basketball for the women's college basketball last year. This is Bryson Daly is my new Caitlin Clark. Futures are in.
Shouts to Caitlin Clark, by the way, all WNBA first team, obviously. Should have been on the USA team. What a fucking blunder that was. Now they're just looking dumber and dumber. But that was a perfect victory formation, Hots. Cheers, bro. Row 26ers. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back next week. Good luck in your fantasy matchups. Your boys in 4th place on a winning streak, back in the playoff hunt. Hots is faltering. He's got to go back to the drawing board, figure out what happened. Made a big splash trade. Big acquisition.
He's 3-3, and I'm 2-4, and he's acting like he's fucking light years ahead of me. He's one game ahead.
Hots got himself Devontae Adams. That's big.
No, I traded Adams.
Zay Flowers. Genie got himself Devontae Adams. Devontae's going to be splitting targets with Garrett Wilson in an offense that throws 150 yards a game. What a blunder.
I needed a shake-up. I got to shake it up.
No
I'm
problem.
not scared.
Of course, you got to knock on the door of your brother-in-law. No problem. But maybe it'll pan out. Maybe it won't. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm ready to make a move. Zach didn't accept my trade today, bro. Hating on Chuba Hubbard.
No, that's not happening. Yeah, and apparently
he's number 5 running back right now, Chuba Hubbard.
Running the ball so well. I hope Jonathan Brooks, though, is going to come back still. I'm holding out hope.
But you could have both the 49ers and Carolina running game under control if you accepted the trade.
Who did you want, though?
Bijan.
What the fuck? Exactly. Row 26ers.
Who's got more points, Chuba Hubbard or Bijan Robinson?
Bijan had 2 touchdowns last week. That offense is weird. Still learning it. All right. Row 26. We out of here. Also, why would Hots want the player if he's making fun of him? Row 26. We out of here.
I like him. I want him because I'm trying to give you 2 running games for 1 running game.
Oh, by the way, fuck you, Dante DiVincenzo. We don't want to hear your beef, bro. We'll see you in January. You're not a thing. You're irrelevant. Sticks basketball. That's how we do things. Sorry, bro. Don't be mad that you're not part of the squad anymore. You're a hater. Sorry.
Go Rangers, too. Rangers are back.
Go Rangers.
Peace.
And we'll see you tomorrow. New York Mets, New York Yankees fans. Lock in. And we'll see you next week. Peace.